All right. Welcome to the Rise Up podcast. I am your host, Jonah Mitchell. And on this show, I do my best to help you rise up to your potential by making everything about weight loss, fat loss, improving your health in general, and taking care of yourself mentally. It gets a little bit easier because we tend to make this a lot harder than it needs to be, mainly because we lack awareness, we lack understanding. And that's the hope or my hope is to kind of provide those things and help it click for you so that you can start seeing the actual path for you to find success, and let go of all the other stuff that is kind of getting in the way that you weren't aware of. Excuse me. And today's episode, I'm actually really excited because it's oftentimes, as a coach, I do more I shatter more beliefs than I actually do coaching. And that's kind of what this episode is really going to be about is these myths. They're the common myths that people hold on to that leads to them doing things that don't actually work for them and make this process a lot harder than it needs to be. And I just want to kind of combine. I mean, there's a lot of myths that I want to get rid of, but I just kind of found the three that I talk about the most I want to share with you that I think you would find very, very helpful. So without further ado, let's talk about these myths that the fitness and nutrition industry don't want you to know. And the first one is my personal favorite because I live by this every single day. Nobody has it figured out. Now, I'm not talking about the science behind things. People have a lot of that figured out of how things work when it comes to biomechanics, when it comes to thermodynamics, and all the things that that we tell our body to do, whether we're aware of it or not. Like, that's things that we do have figured out for the most part. What people don't have figured out is themselves, right? And when you're looking at people, celebrities or friends and family members that are living the life that you want in the body that you want, right? Or they're not better than you. They're not smarter than you. They have better circumstances. May have been in the right place at the right time. They may have found something that worked, but they don't have it figured out the way that you think in your head you do. And I want to. This is a very personal experience of mine, of someone who works in the fitness industry, helping people on a regular basis. A very common misconception my clients have is that I am like this perfect person, that I'm sitting, I coach them, and I don't have the same struggles that they do, right? And I'm someone who's struggled with gaining weight, struggled with losing weight, and having a body that a lot of people could not have, and it was, I don't want to say never have, because we can do anything we want, but getting to 8% body fat at my leanest, the best, quote unquote, best shape of my life, I felt worse being at that point. But when I was trying to pursue that, that's what I thought I needed to be, based off of what people were giving me. And if you're a long-time listener, I've struggled a lot with the mental side of this, and I did things based off what I thought I should do instead of what I actually wanted to do, right? But in the moment, what I thought I wanted was what I thought I actually wanted was the things society and my environment gave me. And when I finally had it and didn't make me feel any better, I was confused. I was like, this is supposed to be the thing. This is supposed to give me all the confidence in the world, but it actually made me more insecure, And I've been actually having this conversation a lot with my clients of like when we're struggling with the mental side or insecurity or control around food, I have the same struggles, even as someone who stays a certain body fat, who stays relatively in shape most of the year, right? There's never, I don't have like these on or off seasons that I've had to work really hard to get something that I can sustain, right? But in those moments of being in a social environment, or if I'm comparing myself to somebody else, I don't just brush it off. Like I have to work through them too, and like I say this because when we look at people that we idolize or we want to be like, that we often put them on a higher pedestal, but they're just regular people. I was just talking to one of my clients the other day, who she was talking about how she felt really uncomfortable in her body, and she was talking about how, like, if she eats and doesn't move, it just kind of sits in her stomach, and a lot of her days have been sedentary, and that's been bothering her because now she's hyper focused or hyper aware how food sits in her body. And I told her, hey, that happens to me too. I work, like, I'm an online coach. I work primarily at a desk. So there's a lot of days where I am stuck at the desk and I have to make an extra effort to get away from that desk to find more movement. But like if I can't get away, if I'm booked with meetings and I eat, I'm stuck there too, eating something, and it feels like I'm gaining fat. It feels like I'm super bloated and I'm getting fatter just sitting here, and I have those same thoughts. And I say this, and I want you to understand that nobody has it figured out, because you may not have it figured out now, but there's never a point where all that stuff ever goes away. And I want to bust that myth, because there is no true cure to any of this stuff of when it comes to insecurity or discomfort in our body, right? We just get better at dealing with it, because if we struggle most of our lives with a certain way of thinking, our brain is a habitual thing. It will always revert back to something that it's really, really good at. And if we get really good at being super negative, super critical, super insecure, no matter how hard we work, those things don't just go away. We just get better at catching those and saying and identifying them if they're true or not, right? We get better at giving ourselves the context of the situation, right? That's what keeps this sustainable. That's what takes the discomfort and the power of those situations away, because you regain the control to understand what is actually going on, right? If I'm stuck at a desk all day and I ate 3 meals and I just feel super heavy, that didn't mean I cancel out any of my progress. Like, I wasn't able to be active, and that's not my fault. I didn't ask for all the meetings all the time. Like, sometimes they get added to my calendar. I have no say or no power over that whatsoever, so I'm not a piece of shit for doing that to my body. I don't need to beat myself up. I'm not canceling out any of my progress because I didn't exercise today, right? But again, those thoughts still run into my mind. I still have to fight the urge sometimes to want to go burn off a meal based off of my previous experience with my relationship with my food, right? I got super compulsive. If I couldn't weigh a meal, I was super insecure, or I was super terrified that I was going to undo all my results, right? Anytime I don't feel like I'm able to burn off a candy bar or something like that, I have a twinge of anxiety, right? I want this to really, I want to tell you this because it's normal to be struggling with these things, right? And the goal is to not get rid of it, because that's unrealistic, right? I don't want to set an unrealistic standard but again, the fitness and nutrition industry want you to feel like all these physical external things are going to make you feel better, right? It's going to take these things away. No, they don't go away. We just get better at believing them or not. We take the power away, and we have our own strength and capability to ask ourselves if that's actually true. If what I'm thinking is actually true. Did I actually cancel things out, or am I saying a knee-jerk reaction based off a situation that I cannot respond to? Right. And again, even if you get to where you want to be physically, you're at your goals, those thoughts don't go away. You just get better at catching them. I want you to understand that now, because if you're struggling with these thoughts now, well, guess what? Buckle up, because they don't go away, but they do get less potent. And I know it can be hard to believe. Trust me, I've been where you're at. If you're listening to me, you're saying this is horse shit. Why even try if it's not going to go away? Because it will get better. Right? Because I was there too. I had these same self-loathing, these same insecurities, the same lack of confidence, and I thought I would never get out of it. Right? This is the first year of my entire life that I've ever been able to look in the mirror and say, I like what I see. I don't love what I see, but it's way better than hating my body. Right? It's way better than saying, oh, okay, cool, whatever. Right? I like it. I don't hate it. Right. And this is another progression that needs to be normalized, is if we can't expect to go from hatred to loving life. Right. Or I'm sorry, depressed to loving life. This is like, if you've ever been sad, right? If someone just says, just get over it, get over it, like, that's unrealistic and unfair. Right. But if we can go from depressed to angry, that's a little bit better. We can be angry about the situation, right, instead of depressed about it, right? Then we go from angry to frustrated about the situation, right? We take a little bit of the edge off. Then we go frustrated to annoyed, right? Annoyed, okay, all right, we're kind of progressing. Then we go from annoyed to kind of neutral. Okay, cool. We're out of that depressive side, and level by level, even though those are still can be considered negative emotions, at least it's better than where it was, right? And we can't go from like self-hatred to self-love just like that. right? But it can get better when we let go of unrealistic expectations and we know that, hey, this isn't going to go away and that can't be the standard, right? And I want you to understand that this nobody wants you to know this because they keep wanting you to buy another program. They want you to buy another supplement. They want you to buy more things that are going to try and solve an internal problem. But the external solutions to solve internal problems, right? But we cannot solve internal problems with external solutions. And the fitness and nutrition space doesn't want you to know that. But I want you to know that because I want you to know that you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you, that everyone has the same feelings that you do. And it can be very isolating when you feel like that, when you feel like you're the only one who struggles with this, when you have a coach who, there's coaches out there, trust me, that aren't that great, that will constantly perpetuate that they know everything, that they never have these feelings. That's okay. That's their prerogative. I don't personally believe that as a philosophy of a good coach, right? But again, I'm not on here to debate anything. I am here to let you know that it's okay. It's human to be imperfect. It's human to work through the mental struggles, and it's human to not have it all figured out. Nobody has it all figured out. I have a longer story about that, but that is for another time. But that's what the first myth I want to really kind of hopefully start shattering for you. And even if you're working with a coach, with me, at TTP, or with anybody else, right? They are not perfect. And if they can communicate like they have the same struggles too, I promise you have a great coach in front of you. I promise you, because they know what you're going through. Because if they're willing to express it, they've truly learned the lessons that lead to sustainable change. Again, my opinion, but again, that's for a later conversation. So, but the next myth I want to really bust for people is there is no one size fits all. Like, just because Sally down the street started her vegetable and fruit skin diet and she lost 50 pounds, right, doesn't mean that works for you. Doesn't mean the keto diet works for you. Doesn't mean carnivore or macros or any tool that helps you elicit a calorie deficit. There is no one size fits all. If someone tries to put you in a tiny box of one size fits all, like this has to happen in order for you to lose weight, there is something that has to happen, right? You have to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight, but there is no one way to get there. And if somebody is trying to put you into a box that's not working, right, that's not a you problem, right? And the you problem that does come into this, if you think that it has to be a certain way to lose weight, you have to do something certain, you have to follow a certain plan, you have to follow this diet, this is the diet that works for everybody. No, there is none of that. There is so much nuance when it comes to weight loss, right? Again, there's only one way to do it. It has to be a calorie deficit, but there is so many ways to elicit a calorie deficit that the nuance just gets difficult to explain. But the fitness and nutrition space, they want to give you blanket statement answers because it's easier to say that. Oh, this is good, this is bad. This is how you lose weight. This is how you don't lose weight. This is how you gain weight. No, all those things like these blanket, and this is what a big challenge I have, especially when it's a new person, right? And I haven't really gotten to know them. And they're asking me these questions, and it's so hard for me to give them a black and white statement, right? There is so much gray, so much gray when it comes to our health. Yes, there are certain standards that elicit a healthy lifestyle, a healthy body, but there's so much gray area to get there that we need to be comfortable. It's hard to be comfortable with because it literally means that the person who is trying to understand this has to find their way. Right? There's not just a cookie cutter way of like, oh, I don't want to think, just tell me what to do. It's like, cool, I can do that. I can give someone the quote unquote perfect plan, right? But if I don't change how they show up when life gets hard, if they can't follow the plan anymore, if they lose a family member and they're traveling and now they have no control over their food, right? I didn't change anything. I used to think I just needed somebody to tell me what to do and I'll do it because I didn't want to think about it. But then I wouldn't be learning anything, right? And if we don't understand that there has to be there is the only right way is the way that works for you, right? That could be a keto diet, that could be a vegan diet, that could be that could be counting calories, that could be following a template, that could be following hand portions. There's so many ways to do it, right? But we have to be willing to be okay with adjusting and knowing that the way that we tried, if it didn't work, it's not because we're failures, it's because it didn't work for where we were at, right? And there's a revolving door of tools. That's honestly the way it should be looked at. It's a revolving door. What works for the situation that I'm in right now? What makes my life a little bit easier, that gives me the goals that I want, that doesn't make me work, that doesn't make me feel miserable, that doesn't make me make my life more difficult. It makes my life better, right? Because that's what this is supposed to be. We're supposed to find that nuanced way that works for you, that makes your life better, not harder. Doesn't mean that challenges won't come up, but we can't just give you, if there is no cookie cutter style, like do this and you will do this and you will see and keep your results, right? There's a lot of people out there who've lost weight before. There's a lot of people who can't keep it off. There's even more people out there that can't keep weight off. And that's the real problem, that these myths I'm trying to help you understand, right? Nobody has it figured out. There's no cookie cutter way to do this. There is a way that works for you, and that's what we're trying to find. That's the real goal here, is when we find your way, this gets a whole lot easier. If that's someone who struggles with the mental side, like one of my clients, when she first signed on, she told me, I want to work on my mindset because I know that's what always gets in the way. And then we started her program, and she kept always attaching to the scale. I'm not losing enough weight. I'm not losing enough weight. And I always have a reminder, what problem are we trying to solve here? Right? Are we trying to solve the mindset problem, or are we trying to solve the weight loss problem? Because if we solve the weight loss problem and then you go back to your mindset issues, then it's going to be a temporary solution, right? And she's finally got to the point where, we were able to get her work through those mental shifts. And it's amazing to see now, because I could give her like the actual strategic adjustments when it comes to nutrition and activity to elicit a calorie deficit to see results. And it doesn't become the end all be all. If it doesn't work out, she's not super freaking out about it, and she's way out of her head. And she knows that things aren't always permanent. Like, it's not like, okay, do this and follow this to a T and you'll always see results. It's like, no, this is what we're doing for this time frame, and then we're going to learn how to sustain it outside of this time frame. And she's comfortable with that because she addressed the mindset stuff first. Her way needed to be comfortable knowing that she could trust herself, that she doesn't need a plan, that she doesn't need results right now to feel better. And then when she feels better first, then she gets comfortable, then we can make the adjustments and utilize the tools to elicit that deficit to get her to her physical results, right? But it's going to be much more sustainable because she did it her way. That's what we want. If we can make it your way, this is what makes this process so much easier, right? I love my way. Jonah's way is great. But if I force everyone to do it Jonah's way, I'm going to be, my clients who don't get it are going to be miserable. I'm going to be miserable because I'm going to feel like shit not getting my clients' results. And it's just it's a never ending cycle that perpetuates the problems that the fitness and nutrition space wants you to stay in. They want you to stay with the same problems, because if you solve your problems, you stop buying products. And if you stop buying products, well, the space stops making money. And it's not fun to stop making money for, big corporation stuff. But, too much, or not too much. But yes, I hope that makes sense. And then my third one, this one's going to be a little bit shorter, because I think more and more people are starting to realize this. I hope, anyway. I'm doing my best to help just kind of smooth this over. But the third myth that really needs to be busted here is your results are probably going to take a little bit longer than you think. And I think more and more people are getting comfortable with that idea. But like, just because you have a weight loss number in your head, right, doesn't mean you're done when you get there. Because a lot of people think they're going to look a certain way when they have a certain body fat percentage, or when they have a certain scale weight. And a lot of times people are kind of disappointed with how their body does look, because when they do lose a substantial amount of weight, because they oftentimes don't do it in ways that are actually beneficial for their goals. Like, for example, if you have a big weight loss goal, right? Well, this also comes in a nuance. Like, if you're somebody who's obese, like, your goal is just to get the weight off your body. That's it. There's no body composition adjustments that need to be accounted for, because we just need to get we just want to get the weight off of your body. We'll worry about body composition later. But some people who, 30, anywhere from like 5 to 30 pounds of weight they want to lose, that ideally want to see a significant body fat percentage, or a body composition improvement, the way that they're used to losing weight doesn't usually lead to those things. They could get to a number and they could be very disappointed because they didn't know the biomechanical things necessary. They didn't know the proper programming to help tell their body to improve body composition specifically. They just told it to tear down tissue, tear down, oh, excuse me, all tissue, because what we do with our body, our body's always listening. And if we're not supporting it, if we're not training in a way that's going to give our body the goals that we ideally want, right, then we can get to a end result, which could be a body fat percentage or a number on the scale, and we could not like what we see because the training that we did alongside wasn't appropriate for the goals that we had, and that we had. And I say it may take longer than you think because sometimes that has to happen. Sometimes you have to go and realize, oh, it wasn't the scale number that I wanted, right? But you didn't fail. It gives you the opportunity to find, okay, what was I missing that time that I can start focusing on now, right? Because just when we get to a goal, we're not done, right? If we have improvements that we want to make, that's great. We get to keep making them, right? So it may take longer than you realize because there's a lot that you have to learn. There's a lot that you have to learn about yourself. There's a lot that you have to learn about when it comes to biomechanics and training. There's a lot that you have to learn about nutrition and supporting your body, right? So it's so much to absorb that, it may take you upwards of 1 to 5 years to get to a place where you're truly sustainably happy with your results. Not to tell anybody that they can't see substantial change in a short amount of time, but I want you to be open to the idea that it may take longer than you think you would like, right? A lot of people want change now. They go decades of their life, they get super motivated for 6 weeks, and then when they don't see substantial change, they get disappointed, right? But substantial change is relative because we're trying to think of the end game here too, right? The end game is sustainable results that you get to understand how to keep. My biggest pet peeve is wasting people's time. And the biggest waste of time is giving people results that don't last. And it's not fair. It's not fair. It's something I want to end. And when we just expand our timeline a little bit, give ourselves some wiggle room, right? Just give yourself 1 to 5 years to truly just understand yourself, your body, and what you would like to accomplish, right? 1 to 5 years is nothing if you struggled with your body composition, with your weight, with your self-image for the majority of your life. And when you expand your timeline, you'd be surprised how much you can get done in 6 to 12 months. You really would. You will go from thinking horrible stuff your entire life to within 6 to 12 months, you don't even have those thoughts nearly as often as you do. And you feel far more in control because of it. There's so many things that can change when you let go of certain beliefs. And that's really the whole point of this episode, right? It's super short today, mainly because I got to run to jiu-jitsu, but also because I want you to listen to this again. I want you to absorb it. I want you to really start questioning the beliefs that you think you have, the people that you idolize. And do you think they really have it figured out the way that you assume they do? Do you think that just because one way failed, that's the only way that has to go? Do you think that you can accomplish everything that you truly want to accomplish within a 3 to 6 month span, right? Just question them. Question what we think we know. Question the thoughts that we have. And if we can understand them a little bit more, this is what leads to sustainability. This is what leads to permanent change because we give ourselves new forms of context that make this process a little bit easier, helps us find our way, right? And we stop comparing ourselves to other people. We expand our timelines to take off pressure of ourselves. And this whole situation, this whole process of taking care of your body, getting to where you want to be physically, it can happen quicker than you imagine. When you just give yourself the time, give yourself the space, let go of the comparison, let go of the pressure, right? And realize that you are just as amazing as all the people you look up to, and you're no different from them. Some people may be a little bit luckier, may have figured things out a bit quicker. That doesn't mean you can't, right? You are far more capable than you ever really have given yourself credit for. So I'm going to end this episode here. I hope you found it helpful. I hope you found it informative, and I hope it helps shift some perspectives. And if it did any of those 3 things, I would really, really greatly appreciate you share this episode with at least one person. If you're a longtime listener, I'm so thankful and grateful for you. Thank you so much. If you're a former client, current client, or if you're a new listener, I also appreciate the hell out of you for being here. And again, it means the world to me to just be able to help you even in a small way. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.